Eva had always lived a quiet life in Willowbrook, a town where nothing much ever happened. She was the owner of a cozy little bookshop. Her world was simple, predictable, even. But her heart, though hopeful, remained untouched. She had long since given up on the idea of love, choosing instead to pour her heart into her books, letting them be the companions that never let her down. Then there was Liam. Liam was the complete opposite. A restless wanderer who never stayed in one place for too long. He was an artist, his heart as free as the sketches he created. Always searching for inspiration, but something was missing, something he couldn't quite place. That was, until he stumbled upon Willowbrook. He was only passing through, on his way to the next adventure, but the small town, with its quiet streets and slow pace, felt like a place where he could breathe. Little did he know, this town would offer him more than just a brief respite. It was a rainy afternoon when they first met. Liam, drenched from the downpour, pushed open the door to Eva's bookshop, seeking shelter. The soft bell above the door jingled, breaking the silence of the shop. His eyes immediately locked onto the shelves of novels, their spines worn from years of love and use. Eva glanced up from the book she was reading, her eyes meeting his. For a brief moment, neither spoke. There was something in that silence, something unspoken, an electric pull that neither of them could ignore. Liam, after a pause, smiled shyly and approached her. Liam asked, softly, almost hesitant, "Do you have anything about love? Real love, I mean. Something that makes you believe it's possible, despite everything?" Eva was caught off guard by the question. She wasn't used to customers asking about real love. The word itself felt too weighty, too elusive. Still, there was a softness in his tone, a vulnerability that made her answer. Eva responded, with a small smile, "We have plenty of books on love. But what kind of love are you looking for?" Liam, with a quick, almost desperate reply, said, "Something real." Eva walked over to the shelves and pulled out a worn copy of Pride and Prejudice. "This one," she said, handing it to him. "It's real love in its most complicated form." Liam took the book, their fingers brushing for just a second. That fleeting touch sent a ripple through both of them, but neither acknowledged it. He smiled, nodded, and without another word, sat down at a nearby table. Over the following weeks, Liam found himself returning to the bookshop every day. He would sit at the corner table, lost in his sketches, yet always stealing glances at Eva. There was something about the way she moved, the quiet strength she exuded. Eva, for her part, had started looking forward to his visits. At first, they talked about books, their favorite authors, and the beauty of the written word. But soon, their conversations became more personal. She learned about his travels, the cities he'd lived in, the people he'd met. And with each visit, she felt a part of her long-buried heart stir, a part she thought had died a long time ago. Eva, whispering to herself, in a reflective tone, "He's not supposed to be here. He's supposed to move on, just like all the others. But why does it feel different?" One evening, as the last few customers left and the shop grew quiet, Eva was about to close. But Liam hadn't moved from his corner. He was still sketching, his head down, completely absorbed in his work. The streetlights outside flickered, casting a soft glow through the window. Eva, with a hesitant, soft voice, asked, "Liam, why do you come here every day? What is it that brings you back?" Liam set down his pencil, his gaze lifting slowly to meet hers. There was something in his eyes, something deep and vulnerable. Liam replied, quietly, "Because I feel at home here. And because I've never met anyone like you, Eva." Her heart skipped a beat. The words felt like a confession, like a thread pulling her closer to him, closer than she was ready for. She wanted to say something, but the words caught in her throat. Without thinking, Liam reached out, his hand brushing gently against hers. That touch, it was soft, but it sent a shiver through her entire body. They both felt it, the connection, undeniable and raw. The world outside the shop seemed to vanish, leaving only the quiet intimacy of the moment. Days turned into weeks, and Eva and Liam's connection grew stronger. The quiet moments they shared became their sanctuary, a space where words weren't always needed. But Eva, though her heart longed for him, couldn't shake the fear that held her back. What if this was just another fleeting moment? What if he was never meant to stay? One evening, as the sun dipped low and the shadows grew long, Liam spoke, his voice serious. He said, "Eva, I know I'm not staying here forever. But what we have, I can't walk away from it. I care about you, more than I've ever cared about anyone. I need you to know that." Her breath caught in her throat. The walls around her heart, so carefully built, began to crumble. She looked into his eyes, her voice trembling as she finally spoke the words she had kept hidden for so long. Eva responded, softly, almost in disbelief, "I care about you too, Liam. More than I ever thought possible." As the days passed, Eva and Liam found themselves slipping into a routine, though neither had anticipated it. The bookshop became their haven, a place where they could escape the world and simply be together. But as their bond deepened, they began to step out of their familiar space and share the world beyond the shop. One Saturday afternoon, with the sun shining brightly, Eva suggested something they had never done before, a walk through the lush green trails just outside Willowbrook. Eva and Liam walked side by side along the narrow, winding path that led them to a quiet clearing by the river. The air was fresh, and the soft rustling of leaves in the trees was the only sound they could hear. Liam said, playfully, "You know, I think this is the first time I've ever been so still in my life. But I like it. I think I like being still with you." Eva laughed, a warm, carefree sound that made Liam's heart skip a beat. She glanced at him, and for the first time, she realized how much she'd come to depend on his presence, how much she had started to crave him in her life. Over time, their walks became a ritual, one that allowed them to open up in ways neither had expected. On one of their evening strolls in the garden, after hours spent laughing and talking about everything from their childhood dreams to their most embarrassing moments, Liam said, "I've never been good at sticking around Eva. I've always run when things started to feel real. But, with you I don't want to run." Eva turned her face toward him, her heart pounding. She could see the raw honesty in his eyes. Eva replied, softly, "I used to think I could live without love. That I didn't need anyone. But you changed that for me." Their connection, though still young, was undeniable. One evening, after a particularly long day at the bookshop, Eva found herself standing by the counter, organizing the shelves. She was lost in thought when she felt a familiar presence beside her. Liam had quietly entered, as he often did after closing time. This time, there was no small talk, no hesitation. He simply stood there for a moment, watching her. Eva looked up and met his gaze. The intensity in his eyes was unmistakable. Liam smiled, his hand gently resting on hers. He lowered his gaze to her lips, and the moment hung in the air like an unspoken promise. Without any words, he leaned in, his lips brushing softly against her forehead. It wasn't a kiss on the lips, but it was just as intimate, just as meaningful. As their relationship blossomed, they found themselves falling into the quiet rhythm of their connection. They didn't need grand gestures or loud declarations. Their love was in the simple moments, the quiet dinners shared by the window, the soft laughter that filled the air, the tender touches that spoke volumes. One cold winter evening, as the first snow began to fall over Willowbrook, Eva and Liam sat together by the fire in her small living room. The flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the walls as they spoke in low tones, their words soft but laden with meaning. Eva said, softly, her voice a little shaken, "Sometimes, I think I'm too broken for this, Liam. I've spent so long hiding behind my walls that the thought of letting someone in scares me." Liam didn't say anything at first. He simply took her hand in his thumb tracing gentle patterns on her skin. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady, firm in its conviction. Liam responded, with warmth and understanding, "Eva, I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be you. And I'm not going anywhere. Not this time." And in that moment, all the uncertainty, all the fears and doubts, melted away. They were both standing on the edge of something beautiful, something real. They had found each other in the quiet corners of life, and they knew they weren't letting go.